Hello, everyone. Welcome to Covers and Pages podcast. My name is Rese, also known as Rese Alisa. And Covers and Pages podcast is all about celebrating authors, bookstore owners, narrators, and book influencers who continue to empower this book space. And I'm so excited about the guest that is on now. I absolutely love watching her on TikTok. And let me just introduce her real quick. So I'm sure we all have seen our guests come across our timeline or For You page. She was seen interviewing Octavia Grant, who I absolutely love, Wanda M. Morris, who I also love, and Dr. Ian K. Smith at the 30th Essence Festival of Culture. She has over 30,000 followers on TikTok and counting, and you can always guarantee her to recommend you a great thriller or mystery book. Ladies and gentlemen, on the cover of Covers and Pages podcast, we have Adrian, also known as A Dose of Books on her social media page. Air horn.
Hi. Thank you so much for
How-
having me.
yes, ma'am. Thank you for joining. I'm so excited to just get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because I feel that the people that we watch on social media, we really don't know, their background. So
Yeah.
I definitely want to kick off this podcast and just ask you, who is Adrian? Who is A Dose of Books?
Yeah, well, that's a loaded question. But yeah, I'm Adrian. Everybody in my life and on social media calls me Adri or Dree. I'm 30 years old. I grew up in New York City my whole life. I have a 7-year-old son. And I work in the tech field. But outside of that, I love to read. I've been a reader my entire life. Since I was as young as my kid, as long as I can have a book in my hand, I was under the covers with a little flashlight reading books, and it's always kind of been my escape, no matter what was going on from a young age to my 30 years. And yeah, I just love it. I love reading thrillers. I didn't really have a space where I could talk to other people about it, so I decided to start a TikTok just to meet other people, and it has become a whole nother part of my life that I'm so excited about.
How long have you had your TikTok?
It will be 2 years in March 2025.
Okay, beautiful. So, okay, you mentioned that basically you didn't have nowhere to kind of discuss these books, so you would say that was your inspiration behind starting your TikTok.
Yeah, I love to read. I always have. It's just kind of a pastime, no different than watching TV or, going out. And I do all those things too. But my biggest hobby has always been reading. So I really wanted to talk to other people about it. And I think just scrolling on TikTok, when you're not a part of Book Talk, the same kind of content always pops up, the same kind of book recommendations always pop up, but it didn't really align with me. So I remember I was talking to my friends and I'm like, I want to start something. I want to talk to people. And I don't know if it's YouTube or TikTok. And they all said, why don't you start TikTok? Because, smaller bits of content, see if you're comfortable with it. And I
Right.
did it. And I have met hundreds of thousands of like the most dope people ever being in this community. And I did not expect that at all. I really just wanted to talk about the books that I was reading.
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you how I found you.
Yes,
When
please.
I first got into TikTok, because just like you, I wanted to be a creator. I had my TikTok page for like ever since COVID.
Wow, yeah.
I was posting stuff and nothing would like ever stick. Either it wouldn't stick or I was just so impatient, right? So one day, I was just like, let me just see what people are reading, because was in so many different I'm still in so many different Facebook pages, book pages on Facebook, right? So the girls was like recommending stuff, and I was like, oh well, let me go see what they're doing on TikTok. You did a review. You reviewed one of Frida McFadden books,
Oh, yes. Was it
and
the teacher, was it?
I think yes, I think it
Okay.
was the teacher. And I was like, "Who is this Frida lady? Like, let me go see what she about." But I remember you being one of the black women that I found that was talking about thrillers, and I never read thrillers. Never. I was always like this cute little urban romance type of girl. The finance books, which I don't read that bull crap no more. But
I feel like so many of us start with the self development. I'm like, I don't
girl,
want to read none of
listen.
this. Yeah,
I don't read none of that. Don't give me no self help book, because I'm gonna look at you crazy.
yeah,
Okay.
like okay, that's the old
Okay.
me.
Right. Someone just told me yesterday, oh, I'm reading like Robert Kiyosaki. Girl, Move.
Get on.
Go on. Okay. But anywho, so I was like, wait a minute. Oh, she talking about books. Oh, and she's so pretty. I need to
Yeah.
continue. Like, I was like stalking your page. And ever since then, when I tell you, you have given me some of the best book
Oh,
recommendations, especially Brandon Massey.
oh
Never
my
heard of him
God.
before.
Hmm.
And I was telling someone that I think it is so dope that the thriller space has been like full of just black authors.
Yeah. It really is. I think that, and I love that you brought up that you found me through Frida McFadden, because I think a lot of my videos that have blown up has been thriller recommendations that are not Frida McFadden, because I love her. I really do. But
Me
I,
too.
I think there's a lot of discourse about her, but I love her writing. It's easy, it's bingeable. However,
Hmm.
there are so many black authors that do exactly what she does. And
Exactly.
because of just the world we live in, the publishing companies, there are about, I think, 2% that are black in the publishing world. So imagine how many people are actually getting brought into the room, how many black authors are actually being brought into the conversation in these editor rooms. Close to none. So being able
Mhm.
to find these authors on Kindle Unlimited, which we're so lucky to have, just being able to find them and love them and get to recommend other people. I do not take my following, which may seem really big to some and really small to others. I do not take it for granted at all. 30,000 people is a lot of people. And I have this
Mhm.
conversation often with my friend Casey, where imagine 30,000 people. I guess when you compare it to someone with a million followers, that seems almost like nothing. But imagine you walk in a room and it's like a 30,000 person stadium. That's a lot of people
Right.
listening to you and just want to know what you're thinking or what you like. And being able to bring a name like Brandon Massey or Octavia Grant, who aren't signed by a traditional publisher,
Mhm.
the job, and I do it for free. I don't even think twice about it. I love being able to do it.
Exactly. Me too. And I feel the same way. Like I do all of this for free. Like all of this
Yeah.
is self like funded. Like I'm doing this because I love it, and as long as I can reach one person,
Mm-hmm.
that's the most beautiful rewarding thing to me. I
Yeah.
mean, if it come along with something in the future, thank God, but right now I'm just happy to be in this space and find something that sticks, because books have truly saved my life, like
I say that all the
tremendously.
time, and I love hearing that because I don't think that people talk about it enough. That form of escapism when it comes to reading, and just there's so much going on in the world, like in our personal lives and just the world
Mhm.
itself. It's a lot right now, and if I could just crack open a book and get lost in it, I'm gonna do it. And like you said, it's, if one person picks up a book because I recommended it, I did my job. I did what I feel like I was meant to do, having a social media platform. And I really do pride myself on making sure that Black authors are at the forefront of that every single time.
Exactly. And I think that's why we are in this space, to continue to
Yeah,
push those black authors, because I always say if we don't support each other, no one else is going to support us.
exactly. Exactly.
So I'm all about pushing an Octavia Unhinged Grant, because that lady is,
Unhinged. She is, if you look up that word, that's her face right there next to it.
listen, because I read Dear Andrew, I'm like, girl,
Uh,
what is wrong with you?
Andrew is one of the craziest people I've ever read about in my life. I think, was that the first book I read or the second book I read by her? And I was reading like,
Oh
what?
no, it was called Dear Vicky. I'm sorry,
Dear
Dear
Vicky,
Vicky.
yes. I was reading it like, what am I reading right now? There's no,
Girl.
she has created an avenue all on her own. There are thrillers,
Mm-hmm.
there's horror, and she has just created this space for herself that I love being able to read and share with other people. And the fact that I got to do Essence Fest with her was just the most incredible thing ever. Out of the three authors, which I absolutely love, all three of them, being able to talk to Octavia Grant was just the highlight of my year, to be honest, because getting to speak to this indie author who writes the most unhinged stuff, and I've met so many other people because they love her as well. It's just the most amazing thing. It really is. It's crazy what social media has done this year.
Exactly. And I'm so excited to just see what it's going to do in 2025.
I know.
Like, especially with the response with Braid, like
Oh
I
yes.
I am so excited. Like,
I feel
so
like
excited.
this
What did you think
year
about that?
blew up with Bray because last year I learned about it, I think the week of. And I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I downloaded a bunch of books. I wasn't, I was pretty, I feel like it was my first year on social media. So I was downloading, but I feel so many Black content creators that I follow were speaking about it and their videos went crazy. And then so many people were saying they have like 100 to 200 books downloaded just from that. And most of those authors were new to me. So I can't even imagine what it's about to do for their careers. It's so exciting.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm hyped because I know I downloaded like over 60 books.
Yeah.
I
Me
was
too. Oh, I'm gonna
I
get
was
to these. I
on
don't know when, but I'm gonna get to these. Just know they're
exactly
in the
like
library.
that part. I was on that website at 12 a.m. Central Standard Time every single day starting on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's how
Okay?
it was. Yes.
I was going from the audiobook catalog to the romance
Yeah.
to the thrillers to all that. And then when I saw your video, I was like, oh, baby, I didn't miss some stuff.
Yeah.
Said, wait a minute. Adrian got this. And look,
Yeah.
I'm slowing down your video like, well, hold on, sis. Wait, you going too fast.
That's exactly. I was on everybody's page. Like, what are y'all reading? What did you guys download? Because I need to download it too. Because I probably missed
Right.
something. It was so many books. I couldn't believe it.
Exactly. And shout out to A. Lewis. She did such
Yes.
a beautiful job just kicking off that event and just
It's so special that we have that because I learned, I think the first year, last year when I was on Book Talk, Stuff Your Kindle Day came around. And a few people had asked, like, oh, can you do a review on some of the books that you see? So I did it. But then I realized it was like, I don't know, maybe 14, 15 books on Stuff Your Kindle Day that were for Black readers, lovers of Black romance. And it just, I don't know, something felt off about it. And then as
mhm.
I'm just watching other people's content, I'm like, okay, it wasn't just me. We're not prioritized on this day. So to know that this author, A. Lewis, prioritizes a whole week, not even just a day, a whole week, just for us, for every single genre, it's not just romance. It's just, it was just so amazing. I'm
It
excited. I love it every year.
girl, me too.
I'll
I'm
be
looking
locked
forward
in.
to next
Yes.
year.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited. Now I want to transition into let's talk about the dark side of TikTok, right?
Mhm.
So has there ever been a moment for you where you was just like, yeah, I don't think I can do this anymore. I want to just not post and how were you able to get out of that?
You know, I've had times where it just felt like a lot. And to be honest, I think that this month has been a lot. November has just been a lot. Like, wow, I think I need to just take a step back. But I am very grateful. I think I've done a really good job at creating what my algorithm looks like, where the
Mhm.
people I interact with, the content that comes up on my For You page, the mutuals that I have, every single person is so aligned with my morals that there has been very few times where I have had to step away because of how dark book talk can get. I
Mhm.
see it. And a lot of the time, and I'm grateful for it, I see it because my mutuals are stitching it and talking about, what are y'all talking about? Like, what is this nonsense you're saying? And I'm very grateful for it. But it can be a lot. I think that social media, you kind of always have to be on, especially with TikTok. You take a week or two off because you're just having a rough time in your personal life, and oh, the algorithm is messing with you. You're not popping up on For You pages. You're probably shadow banned. It feels like a lot, and you come back and your views are low, and you're just like, what am I doing this for? And I had that moment over the summer because I was under a lot of pressure with Essence Fest coming up, and I just couldn't read for enjoyment, and I had no idea what to post. And when I finally started posting, the views were so low. I was just like, okay, should I just not do this anymore? And I'm grateful enough that I think I made a video just being honest about it because I don't like to shy away from my mental health and the things that surround it. And so many people that commented, it was like, just post. Like, if you read one book, just post about it. It doesn't matter. Like, we want to hear what you have to
Right.
say. And, I think that encouragement, and like I said, I'm very grateful for the community I have on Book Talk in the corner I have found. But I think that's all you have to remember. It doesn't matter. I came on here in the first place because I just wanted to talk about books. I wanted to talk about the books that I was reading and hope that at least one other person would enjoy it. And if one person comments on it, that's all I was looking for in the first place. So getting caught up in the numbers, it's normal, but it's nice to be grounded again and realize like none of this matters. None of it matters.
Exactly. I love that because I know for me sometimes, I know last month I was like beating myself up. I was like, I did not read that many books, and this was in because we're in November, October, the month of
Mm.
October. And I remember I was sitting at Starbucks and I was like, dang, I did not read that many books. And I went to my Goodreads because anytime I finish on my Kindle, I just mark it as, read on there. And girl, I ended up counting 17 books.
Yeah, and
And
that
we
was
had like and we had like 10 more days left in
oh my
October.
god.
But I was just reminded, like, Reese, like, do it at your own pace. Like, this isn't a race. You know what I
Yes.
mean? We're not in a competition to see who gonna read that many books or who
Mm-hmm.
gonna listen to that many, a lot of books and stuff like that. And there was one TikTok that she talked about this. She just said, take your time. Like, if there's a certain book that people have raved about and it was popular on TikTok and you haven't read it, it's okay because someone out there probably have read it and they want to hear what you got to say. Prime
Yeah.
example, Demon's Dream. I have not read that. I got that book sitting right there on my bookshelf.
Oh, I can't
I
wait for
have
you.
not.
Just call me when you do read it. Because I actually love
I
when people tell me they haven't read it yet because I was like that. I can't wait for you to
uh-huh.
read it. Oh my gosh. I
I am
cannot wait
looking
for you to read
forward
it.
to reading it over the holidays, but I brought it up because I was thinking like, oh, once I read this book, I'm not gonna talk about it because it went viral like what over the summer, well, like spring, summer.
Yeah. I
I
feel like
should read
everybody was
it.
like, but
Yeah.
there's never a bad time. There's never a bad time to read Demon's Dream. I tell you.
But I do sometimes feel like you do have some TikTokers or book influencers that just kind of get online and just be like, oh, we was talking about that back then. And it's just like, who cares? Just read
Yeah.
your book.
And it really could be a toxic place of feeling like when you have to keep up with the most recent book of the month or whatever everyone's raving about,
Mhm.
which I'm always late on. So I've had to train myself to not be so hard on myself about that. So I get that. And how many books you read in a month. Like I think we see this, and December is coming. So just those videos are coming soon. The how could you possibly read that many books in a month? And
Oh
the
my
clear
gosh.
difference is and always will be is that none of us that are actually reading that much in a year are thinking about what else anyone else is reading. I'm not
No.
asking you how many books you read this year because I'm comparing it to the 76 that I've read so far this year. I don't care
Hmm.
if you tell me that you read. I follow people that have read 250 books this year. I follow people that have read 20 books this year. Both of those people I take recommendations from. It makes no difference to me
Right.
because we're just reading at our own pace. It's not a competition. It never
Exactly.
has been.
It's not. And just like some of the stuff that do come across like my For You page, I look at it and I roll my eyes and I'm like, man, shut up. Let me just scroll up because it's like what I was telling my friend is, had I known Book Talk was gonna be so much drama, you could not pay me to get in this space. And
Yes,
every time I get the girls
the
are
girls
fighting.
every time, every time.
And I'm just like, what y'all fighting about now? Like, now the whole thing is audio books aren't books.
Oh, that is one of my least favorite takes, and I got a lot of takes I don't like when it comes to reading. But that is one of my least favorite takes. And this is coming from someone who just started listening to audiobooks this year. And it
Oh,
was never
really?
about, yes, it was never about they're not real books. I literally just wouldn't hear words when I would try to listen to it. And I
Mm-hmm.
just trained myself. I would do something, I would color while I was doing it to actually hear the book. And I ended up picking up Razor Blade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I think that was my first one. You like that book?
I love that book.
Oh my god, I love him. I love the book.
I
It's so good.
okay. I am manifesting. We are going to meet him in 2025.
I I literally just said this to my girl Casey. Um, I don't know if you know her, but she has a new agency, Casey Kelly Media Agency, where she has a whole division focusing on book influencers,
Okay.
specifically black book influencers, focusing on those who love black books. And I was just on a call with her, and I'm like, I want to meet S.A. Cosby. Like, what do we have to do? Let's hold hands. We have to make it happen. I want to meet S.A. Cosby, and oh, he's just amazing. And the fact that I'm so grateful that I got to fall in love with the audiobook version of his book because I own the physical copy, but I love that I got to listen to it. And no one can ever tell me that that's not actually reading a book. How can you tell me it's not reading
Exactly.
an actual book? I just
Mhm. I 100% agree with you. Like I am the same way. I post a video on Halloween about like my top 5 reads of October, something like that, and I mentioned All the Sinners Bleed because I read that one.
I have to read that one. That's the one everyone
Oh,
raves about. I know I'm missing out. I'm missing out. So audiobook, I
so
should go with that.
good. Yes, let that
Okay.
be your next read. That one was
Yes.
it was so good, but I talked about him in that video and just was like, it said Cosby, like that's my boy, and I saw that he liked my video.
There's something, and I love that. I think about this all the time, how accessible authors feel for us, and we're just I don't like taking it for granted that we can read a book
Okay,
or listen to a book, whatever it is that we do, and we can come online and literally DM an author, make a video and tag them, and they're
exactly,
interacting with us, and I'm like, you just stressed me out and stuck me in a whirlwind of emotion, and they actually answer us. I think that is the craziest thing ever that we get to do
exactly.
now. Yeah.
Exactly, because like even like sending these invitations out to these podcasts, even like with you, when I emailed you back, I was like, oh my! First of
No.
all, I was not even expecting Adrian to email me back that fast.
I was in my bed like, oh, and I feel like, was it, I think maybe 2 hours before, you had tagged Miles Washington, the audio narrator. Yes, you
Yes,
tagged him in a video, and I'm like, yes, he is a good narrator. And then you emailed me, and I'm like, wait, this is the, oh, yeah. And that is like the power of social media. I just love it because I would have responded regardless. But the fact that I just saw you and then you emailed me, I'm like, oh, like this was meant to be. Obviously, that was, of course, I'm going to be on the show.
I've had people to DM me and was like, "Girl, you didn't put me on some audiobook narrators because I think audiobook narrators are so important
Yes, they
in
make or
this
break the
world."
story that's worth listening to.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I have listened to an audiobook and girl, when I tell you I was like it was like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
I said I'm going to try to finish this book, but this narrator,
Not doing it. Yeah.
I
It
can't
really
get
makes
with
such a
it.
difference because I always say I would have loved. I literally just listened to Real by Kennedy Ryan the other day, and I know I would have liked the book if I just read it, but listening to the audiobook made such a difference. They were singing on the audiobook and
Exactly.
stuff. I'm like, oh, they're going off right now. Like this is crazy. And so many books I've read, I loved, and someone's like, you have to listen to the audiobook. And I never used to reread stories, but now I get to experience these stories all over again because
Hmm.
a narrator just has taken it to a whole nother level for us.
Right. And one thing that I love to do, I love to listen to the audio and read the book at the same time.
I'm the same.
Because
Yes.
like just listening to it and reading it, it helps so
Like
much. And
understand the content and and you for you to
yes,
grasp it.
and it
Yeah.
also helps me to remember it all.
Yes. I
Yes.
do
So
feel like and that's what kills me about the audiobooks aren't reading because I feel like I grasp a story so much better when I'm hearing the person narrate it. I love listening to it.
exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
yes.
I was um I was reading, I'm actually on book 2, but I was reading The Butcher and the Wren by
House Book One. I
Annalie.
literally just it's like where I have you propped up. It is like like you are being propped up by the Butcher and the Man right now.
Girl, I was listening to that book and I was reading it, and when I tell you, I was like,
Oh,
"Oh my God." It fully helped me to like really grasp the story, you know what I mean? And fully like
yeah.
understand it. So, and maybe I don't have no dyslexia. Maybe I'm just diagnosing myself with dyslexia. I don't really know, girl, because I haven't went to no medical profession. But sometimes I'll be like, "Do I got dyslexia?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with me?" Okay.
Maybe not. I don't know. But ooh, okay. So now you have me excited because I just bought that and it's on my little shelf for all the books I just recently bought, and I want to read that. But I should listen to the audiobook.
Yes.
Okay,
That
I'm gonna do a
those
little.
two audiobook narrators, man, they did a good job.
Okay.
They did a good job. So now I'm on book 2. I started the Butcher's Game, and I was on
Oh.
Amazon just looking at the reviews because I wanted to buy the physical book at Target, but I was like, I'm just gonna just download it on my Kindle. But 4 stars and above.
Oh. Okay. Now you have me
People are
excited. Now you have me excited. Okay.
yes, yes, yes. And that's when I tell you that's one thing I love about just going on your page. You recommend some of the most like great
Oh,
mystery and thriller
thank you.
books.
I
And
really appreciate that.
they be good as hell, friend. Like good.
I really appreciate that because I have friends in my day to day that read books, thrillers, romance, and
Mhm.
we could talk about it. But I just love meeting people that I don't always get the chance to meet in person. And they're like, "Oh, I love this book," and I'm like, "Yes, thank you," because I know some of my books they get a little dark, they get a little twisted. But I love meeting people, and they're just like, "Oh my god, that book was so good," and we're just smiling over because Butcher and the Run is literally about a serial killer, and we're just like, "I can't wait to read that!" Like, and I
Exactly.
just love meeting people. And this is exactly why I started my page because it's very hard to explain why we're smiling right now talking about a book like that.
Exactly. Because my friends, they don't be understanding. They just think I'm weird.
Yeah. I just went to an event the other day for Kennedy Ryan, her re-release for Real, and the whole room was full of mainly fantasy and romance lovers. And
Okay.
one person was like, "Oh yeah, this is the thriller girl," and so many of them were like, "Oh, I'm scared. I can't read thrillers." And I was just like, "I get it. I get it." But
Right.
I also go to sleep watching SVU and Criminal Minds, so
Oh,
reading
these are
books like this, yeah, I eat it up. I'm just what happened next. I will stay up all night to figure out.
ex-
Yeah, so it's so nice getting
exactly.
to meet people and talk to people and recommend books to people that get that. It's just the best feeling.
Exactly. And another thing that you do that I absolutely love, I love the fact that you include your son in this space too with reading.
Yeah, yeah,
I love that. And you talked about that on one of your videos, how, with your books, you leaving this for him.
yeah.
And I
I
love that.
really am. We just went to the bookstore today. This independent bookstore that's not too far from our home, and I always say that because I meet parents a lot through his sports or school, and a lot of people say like, "Oh, my kid doesn't like to read." And one thing I did with my son, I don't treat it like a punishment. I know we grow up in this age of screen time, and my son he uses an iPad, he plays with his friends, he plays with a little PS5 and stuff, but I never treat it like, oh, you had too much screen time, go read a book. It's just he sees that I do it. He sees that at the end of the night I go and I take my book and I'm reading and I just do it right next to him and he'll go and grab his book and he just wants to read. Sometimes he wants to read to me, sometimes he wants us to read together, sometimes he just wants to read alone. And that is just me fostering the love that he has for reading because it started at that age for me. And I never want him to feel like you have to read because this is a punishment for you having fun for the rest of the day. Reading is fun, just
It
treat it
is
like
fun.
that. And that's all you have to do. You treat it like it's just another thing of him going to play with his toys, your kid going to play with to color, to draw, to build a Lego set. You treat reading just like any of those things, they will take to it. And then, you
Exactly.
lead by example as well. Not everyone's a reader, obviously, of course. So it's maybe comes a little easier to me because I read right in front of him. But that's what you have to do. You just gotta show them that it's fun. It's not a punishment.
Exactly. I love that, Adrian.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just love watching those videos when you post
Thank
them
you.
because I'm like, these babies need to read,
They
honey. Because listen, some
do.
of these kids done got left behind, okay?
Yeah, that No Child Left Behind act. The kids did get left behind, baby.
Some of them got left behind.
Yeah, and
And
it breaks my heart because I'm not someone who says it from sitting up on my high horse. Like my kid doesn't use iPad. He's upstairs right now on his iPad actually, but it's
mhm,
just I don't it's just balance. It's just balance. We live in a world where technology is face first, and
exactly.
he does his homework on an iPad. So it's just, there's no really escaping it at this point in life. It's just the balance. Like we're on our phones all day long. I watch TV. I do all those things too, but I still go and this is just a hobby for me and that's how I try to instill it for him. Like, yeah, you go and you pick up a book and that's just what you do. And we talk about it. I make sure he comprehends what he's reading as well. It's not just reading words just to read words. And that's really all it is. It's just repetitive, just
Right.
constant, like, let's read this book and tell me what it's about. And you just make it fun. It's really all it is. It's not easy being a parent, but when it comes to these little things, it's just you just make it fun.
Right. Yeah, come on now. Adrian giving us some parent tips, honey. Yes. Yes. Let me turn on the air horns, excuse me. Brr, 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 brr. Okay. So has there ever been a book you read where you was just like, yeah, this ain't it.
Girl.
This
All
ain't
right,
it.
so I could not even tell you how many books I feel that way about because I am Miss DNF. Like if there's a book to
Me
DNF,
too.
I'm out to find it. I do not waste my time. There are very rare moments. where I'm reading a book and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna push through. No, if I'm not having fun, to me, and that's for the main thing. If I'm not having fun reading, why am I reading this book? I don't believe in making myself suffer. So I got a lot of books like that. There was a book that I just recently read that I forced myself to finish. It was called After Image by Jamie DeBlanc. Not a
Okay.
bad book, but what are we talking about? And you ever just reading a book
Right.
and you're like, this is so ridiculous. And I think with thrillers, we tend to suspend our disbelief a little bit because sometimes things can be like, that would never actually happen. And I'm okay with that. But sometimes it goes so far left. And that was one of those books. I'm just like, what are we talking about? Like, this would literally never happen, not even in a made believe world. So
Right.
every now and then I have those, but I am Miss DNF. If the minute something seems ridiculous, I'm closing the book and it's going off to its next owner. It's
Mhm.
going in a free little library. It's going in the library donation box. It's going on Pango for someone else to enjoy. It's out of here.
Yeah. I had one book. It was a romance book that I just was like, and I gave that book two whole chances. And that second chance, I made it all the way to chapter 14. And that's when they said it was going to start getting good. I
Oh no.
said, hell no. And it is a very popular
Isn't
book
it?
on
That's
on TikTok. I tell you
yeah.
after
I'm
we,
like
because
this.
I don't want the TikTok warriors to come and beat me down.
Yeah,
But
no. If it's
I
popular, yeah. When we press stop, yeah, you tell me.
I said, man, I tried the audio book, I tried the physical book. This book boring. And I wanted to like it so bad, but I'm just like, first of all, I'm like you, like, what are we talking about? Like, why is this moving so slow?
Yeah.
And you know
Oh, that's
what?
so
That's
good.
one thing
Yeah.
that I really do like about Big Frida. Like, when I tell you that lady can, like, within the first couple of pages, like, suck you in.
She's gonna
And
pull
I
you
know
in. She's gonna give you a good time.
exactly. Exactly. And I know people don't, because now I see the whole conversation of people, they don't like her and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I
But
don't. Yeah. And I think she's a great starting point. I think sometimes when you read enough thrillers, that
hmm
maybe you kind of outgrow her because the
hmm
content is, I don't know what the right word is, but she can start to feel like a palate cleanser almost when you get to a certain point of
hmm
thrillers. But I enjoy her. I probably went most of this year not reading her. I just read her recent release, The Boyfriend. I loved
yes, I
it.
read that one too. I
Yeah,
loved
I
it
thought
too.
it, yeah, I thought it was a good time. It was a great
That
twist.
ending pissed me off.
Oh, she's gonna make a silly girl of a main character every time that does not see a single red flag, and it's gonna piss me off every time. But I have a good time reading those. I think that's the whole point of the book. I think that's what
Right.
she does well. And yes, there are other authors to read, but I don't think that she deserves the slack that she gets. I
Mm-mm.
especially even, and that's why I always say I make a very specific video where it's thriller authors that are not Frida McFadden, and I always have to say like I like her. I promise you guys, I like her. But
Exactly.
there are other authors. I think Shanora Williams, severely underrated author. She is
Okay, does she have The
so
Wife
good.
Before?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that is on my list to read.
Yeah, she's a really good popcorn thriller. If you like that feel of the short chapters, an unhinged, silly main character, and just fast paced, she's a great author for that. A.R. Torrey as well. I like authors like that. And Frida McFadden, at the end of the day, I think I said it earlier that there's such a small margin of Black
Mhm.
editors in a room that Freedom McFadden is going to be pushed out to us. We get it.
Right.
So that's why that these Black authors that are doing the same exact thing that Freedom McFadden is doing, I'm going to use any opportunity I can to kind of push their name. But I get why Freedom McFadden has gone so much further because we're just at a disadvantage already. Black
Right.
authors are
Right.
already at a disadvantage. They're not going to be put in that room. You need someone who
Right.
reads their books to be pushing out their name in the first place.
Mhm. So who has been just some of your favorite Black authors that you have read this year? You can name like three or it
Okay,
doesn't
so I
matter.
was like, girl. Okay, so one of my favorite authors of all time. One, it is Shanora Williams. I'm gonna put her on that list because she's a really good time. Tiffany D. Jackson. She does YA thrillers, but I
Mm,
don't even know how to explain her. There is YA and then there is Tiffany D. Jackson, and I always say that. Her most popular book is The Weight of Blood, which is a retelling of Carrie by Stephen King. But that audiobook, since you like audiobooks, I want to tell you you should read it. But she is an incredible author. The stories that she tells are just so important. Really focuses on the youth and Black women, so well, young Black girls. It's just her storytelling is so important. And then my third
Mhm.
one, I want to say S.A. Cosby, but is that like typical? You know what? No. Eric LaSalle. I'm going to put him as number 3. I do love S.A. Cosby, but Eric LaSalle, most people know him as the doctor from ER back in the day, or the guy with the Jerry curls from Coming to America. But he started writing thrillers, and he has 3 books out so far, and I read all 3 of them in like 3 weeks. Incredible. If you like Law and Order or Criminal Minds, he's it. He's 100% it.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, y'all see how my girl just dropped some little
Yeah.
gems on the podcast? Let me tell y'all some recommendations, and she didn't even know it. I
Again,
love
another thing.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, so what do you have next coming for you?
So you know, a lot of what my content has been, I don't even want to say content, but the opportunities that have come to me lately are getting to go to a lot of these events where I get to have face-to-face time with authors or other content creators, which I like. It's switching gears a lot, but I feel like that's what's happened after Essence Festival, which I'm really grateful for. I mentioned before, I'm working with Casey Kelly Media Agency now, so she has been working really hard to get me and other Black influencers into certain doors and different opportunities. And I'm hoping, you know what I really would like to do, and I kind of have to get my head down and start working on it, but I want to start some sort of festival or something for Black thrillers. Um, I don't know if it's going to be 100% Black authors, but I would really like to do something similar to Steamy Lit, which is like the romance festival, or um, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, like the Black Romance Festival that's going to happen next May in
Yeah, the
Atlanta.
black, yeah, the Black Romance
Yes.
Book Fest.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do something like that on the thriller side. I would love to do that. I know it's going to take a lot of work, a big team to help make that happen, but I want to look into that. I would love to. I don't think that we
Yeah.
have a space for it. The ones I have found, it's, the front facing authors are all white, and I read authors of all different races and ethnicities, but I would love to just see us on the face front of something. If I could be behind it, that would be even cooler. So
Right.
that is something that's my long term goal. So I will see.
I love that. And I am definitely manifesting that for you in your
Thank you.
life. And I'm gonna be in your DMs like, hey, what's the update? You still gonna do the idea? You still gonna do the idea? Cause
Girl,
I'm here
look
for
what you're
it.
doing. If you don't think you're going to be a moderator up there with me, I'm with
Ah!
Reese.
I would love to. I
Of
would love to.
course. Yes.
Real quick before we end, tell me what it was like when you got that email from Essence Fest
Oh, please.
asking to be on their like a panel. Like, what was that like? You
Yeah.
was a moderator, correct?
Yeah, so I'm literally at my son's soccer practice, just sitting there. And Casey, who at the time she didn't have this company, she was doing something else. And this was her second year doing Essence Fest. And she wrote me, like, would you be interested in being a moderator? Like, would I be interested in being a moderator at Essence Fest? What are you talking about? Of course I would. And I get on the phone with her, and she's telling me all about it. And I was in a state of shock for a long time, and I didn't know who the authors were at the time. And she was just like, okay, like, just these are the dates, like, kind of keep it on hold. And then she called me back and she tells me who the 3 authors are. And she's telling me that Octavia Grant gets to be one of them. And I get this opportunity to, read their 3 books. And obviously, I've been reading most of them already. So I can curate all these questions for them and everything that's going to come with that weekend. And I remember I was crying on the phone, I think, after with my mom, and because Casey was telling me about Octavia Grant and how grateful she is. And Octavia Grant got invited because I happened to make a video talking about her books. And then Casey read one of her books and was like, that's the author that we wanted. That's the 3rd author we want. And knowing that I had a small part in bringing an indie author on that stage and what that did for her, I was a mess. I was a mess. And it was so special to meet her because I was just reading her books and recommending it because I really enjoyed them. I talk about her all the
Right.
time, and I'm so happy that so many other people have read her books. But getting to interview someone who I had a small part in bringing her to that space, oh, it was just everything. It was, I was in a state of shock from, I knew, I think since April or the end of March. So holding that in, it hurt. It hurt because I couldn't tell anyone for a long time. I think only my mom and my best friend knew, and that was it. And it hurt to not say anything. When I finally got to speak about it, it was almost like the community I have curated online in this little corner of book talk. Everyone was so proud of me, but it was almost like nobody was even surprised, and that felt very special. Like, oh, like of course you're doing this, That's a very special feeling because I love talking about books. I'm so passionate about it, and it, I think to people who don't read, they sometimes feel like, well, how could you be so passionate about something that's fiction, right? Like these are fictional books. You're not talking about the power of now, and it's just like, but that's the whole point. Like I found something that I enjoy doing and I get to talk to other people who enjoy it just as much, and and that just bringing me to the essence stage, it's literally priceless. It really was.
Beautiful. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that for you, and
Thank
congratulations.
you. I really appreciate you. Thank you so
And
much.
all of the other opportunities that's gonna come your way. Like you are a beautiful light, a beautiful soul, honey. I'm telling you, I'll be stalking you,
Yeah.
be trying to see what you be reading, so I could get in a good way, not
Yeah. No.
bad, in a good way. Let me say that, because I don't want nobody to be like Reese. No, 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 no. It's nothing that bad, but
Like you didn't
just
mean
to
it like that.
right, right. Just to see like what you're reading and all of your like amazing, dope recommendations. Like I am a fan. I am a fan,
Thank
girl. Yes,
you.
yes, 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 yes.
I
So
really
before
appreciate you. Thank you.
yes, ma'am. Before we wrap up, let everyone know where they can follow you.
Yes, so my name is the same on both TikTok and Instagram, a dose of dot books. So ADOSEOF.BOOKS.
Beautiful, beautiful. Is there anything else you want to add in before we wrap up?
Um, Read Black authors and go to the library.
Heavy,
That's all I got.
heavy, heavy on both.
Support your local library and read Black authors.
Yes. I love that. That is a beautiful way to end this podcast. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. For those that are watching, thank you so much. And I will chat with you all later. Be sure to tap in with my girl Adrian and just see everything that she has, to recommend and all of the wonderful things that she is going to be bringing in 2025. So we will chat with you all later.
Thank you so much for
Bye.
having me.